Hello! Today in our lesson, we will learn how to find the sum and difference of numbers written in standard form. Here's the first example. We need to take the number 3.21 multiplied by 10 to the power of 7 and add it to the number 3.7 multiplied by 10 to the power of 7. Please note that in our case, we need to find the sum. Therefore, I need to transform this expression. Of course, I could rewrite it. I could convert this number from standard form to ordinary form, but that's not very convenient. So, if we see the same exponents, we can factor 10 to the power of 7 out of the brackets. And then inside the brackets, we'll have 3.21 plus 3.7. As a result, we can find the value of the sum. As a result, we get 10 to the power of 7 multiplied by 6.91. According to the rule for writing numbers in standard form, we should write it as 6.91 times 10 to the power of 7. And that will be the answer. We use the same algorithm when we need to find the difference between two numbers written in standard form. Let's solve the next example. 8.7 times 10 to the power of 8 minus 3.21 times 10 to the power of 8. We can see that in the way our numbers are written, there is the same factor of 10 to the power of 8. That's why I can take 10 to the power of 8 out as a common factor. And then, in the brackets, I'll write 8.7 minus 3.21. And as a result, I can find the value of the difference. Of the numbers 8.7 and 3.21, that's 5.41. 9/100ths and multiply by 10 to the power of 8. Before you leave this as your final answer, make sure to check whether this is in standard form. Yes, of course it is. So we leave this expression as the answer. But what should you do if the exponents are different? Let's solve another example together. If I take 8.7 multiplied by 10 to the power of 9 minus 3.21 times 10 to the power of 8. As you can see, in this case the powers of 10 are different. So, we need to factor out 10 to the lowest power. So, I will factor out 10 to the power of 8 and write the rest in brackets. The expression is 8.7 times 10 minus 3.21. Pay attention to the fact that in the first term, the 10 had an exponent of 9, but in front of the brackets we wrote 10 to the power of 8. That's why we write 10 to the power of 1 as a multiplier with the number 8.7. And in this case, we can write it as follows: 10 to the power of 8 multiplied by, and 8.7 times 10 is 87 minus 3.21, and then find the result of this difference. As a result, we get 83.79. But this is not the standard form of a number, so we need to write this number in standard form. I write it as 8.379 multiplied by 10 to the power of 9. Let's check our answer once again. Our 83.79 has become 8.379. The number has decreased, so the exponent increases. And as a result, the answer is 8.379 multiplied by 10 to the power of 9. Today in the lesson we learned how to perform operations to find the sum or difference of numbers written in standard form. That's the end of our lesson. Goodbye.